transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are. One heart, one mind, one soul at a time.
Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. We're so glad to be back in the sanctuary. We're here to re-sanctify these walls in anticipation of your return. And we're so grateful to be here. So let's sing our welcome song.
You're in the right place at the right time. Please sing with me. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Good morning, everyone. We are connected in the heart no matter where we are. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Put your hands together. My soul is welcome here. Right where you are. You know you're welcome. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome.
Well, good morning, and welcome to the Spiritual Life Center experience, where we are always connected on a soul level, on a spiritual level, no matter where we are in the world. And so let's commune with that presence that holds everything together, the Spirit of the living God, where there is no separation, no otherness, no distance. And when we connect with that, all is well. So we connect with that presence now. It is in this presence that we live and we move and we have our very beingness in. We make this presence the activity of our consciousness. So we begin to raise ourselves up to be one with the vibration of the one, the God presence, the force. Whatever we call it, we simply call it forth as the activity of our awareness. And as we do, then everything begins to unfold in its right and perfect way. We are in tune with the divine order of our life and of this universe. And we begin to speak from that consciousness. Oh, this morning we speak from the awareness that we are one family on this planet. That we're all part of this expression of the presence of God, of love and peace and joy and wisdom and all that is good and perfect. And as we express that, as we radiate that, as we vibrate at that level, we anchor a little bit more of heaven on earth. So we know that each of us are blessed and ours a blessing. And we go forth amplifying and multiplying this all good in all that we do. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And as we normally do, we affirm our 5 basic unity principles in the event you ever want to share what we believe. And the 5 principles are: God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action. And so it is, and so we let it be. I'd just like to remind you that our Wow Wednesday will continue to be broadcast to you. We'll be coming from the virtual world. This week, we will replay the Soul Spa Sound Immersion with Michael Mandrell, and that's going to be taking place Wednesday at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page. So have an opportunity to tune in with Soul Spa Immersion with Michael Mandrell at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. At this time, we have an announcement from our Board of Trustees, and a video will be coming up to share those words with you.
Hello, I'm coming to you on behalf of the Spiritual Life Center Board of Trustees. My name is Martha Mills, and this is our leadership update. First, please join us in extending our gratitude and appreciation to Carolyn Cochran, who has served the SLC community on the board for the last 6 years. As our board president for several years, she's been instrumental in working with Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons and Reverend James to guide our evolution into a mission-centered ministry. She took the lead in drafting our new bylaws, which were recently approved by our members. And she has expressed willingness to continue as a mentor to our membership committee, which will be drafting our new membership policy. Thank you so much for your leadership, Carolyn. I will be stepping in as your new SLC board president. I'm excited about contributing my skills and my background to further our transformation. Join me also in recognizing Sally Skyon, who is stepping down as our vice president. However, she will remain on the board. As the board liaison to the Community Giving Committee, Sally has championed an open conversation regarding tithing principles, which led to the creation of our Partners in Community Giving outreach program. She'll continue to contribute her wit and wisdom as a board member. So thank you, Sally. Kim McLaughlin will step up as our new vice president. She currently chairs our membership committee, and as vice president will lead the implementation of our new membership structure within our spiritual cooperative. Thank you, Kim. Deborah Moskovich continues as board secretary. She has been busy generating lots of board minutes during our shutdown. Thank you so very much, Deborah. And George Piper will continue as our treasurer and chair of our finance committee. Thank you, George, for your able leadership. The trustees and the SLC staff are immensely grateful for the ongoing contribution from the SLC community during the closure of our facilities. The board and the staff are engaged in a reimagining of our physical space and crafting new procedures which must be approved by the state before we can reopen. You're asked to respond to a pre-opening survey to help us assess your comfort level and your needs. Please respond online or call the office to have a copy of the survey mailed to you, or you can answer it over the phone. Be sure to subscribe also and open the weekly SLC e-newsletter to stay informed regarding our timetable for reopening. And as always, we open our hearts to you, our Spiritual Life Center community. Thank you.
So I would like to let you know a little bit more about our Over the Rainbow live stream Hawaiian social that is coming up on July 5th at 7 o'clock on YouTube, only on YouTube. And over the next several weeks, we'll be highlighting different facets of this event. There's going to be, it's the revised, transformed version of our Spring Fling. And we will have live music by Love Eternal, the duo Love Eternal. They will be actually live here with us in the sanctuary on July 5th. No, July 3rd, the Sunday before. No, wait, the event is July 10th, sorry. July 10th is the event online, and they will be here in the sanctuary on July 5th so that you can get to know them a little better. And we also have a little clip of them right now for you to enjoy. So go online and register for this event.
Humankind is at the edge, and there's so much at stake. But I know it's not too late. I know it's not too late. I know it's not too late. I know it's not. I know it's not. I know it's not too late. I know it's not too late. I know it's not too late.
Good morning, SLC family. My goodness, how we have missed you. I want you to know that our prayer chaplains are back virtually. We are embracing this modern world of Zoom, and we would love to hold you in sacred space. So we are here to pray with you, and I want you to know that these prayers are done one-on-one. They are private and confidential. So I encourage you to reach out. This world is changing so quickly. There is so much going on, and we are here to support you through all of this. Together, we can come together in prayer and elevate this energy to send out a higher vibration to our world. And we're learning more and more about how important our connections are, and this is another way to connect in heart and spirit. We would love to see your face, to hear your voice. We would love to pray with you. So please visit the website or check the weekly emails. You can schedule an appointment or just drop in for a Zoom prayer after the service. Time slots are available on the website, and we hope to see you. Blessings of peace, well-being, and connection.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the Spirit all around me. Even in this time of uncertainty, I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I am one with the Spirit all around me. Please join me in singing. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful. surrender. I trust in God. Oh, I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I'm thankful. I'm so grateful. I know that I am one. I'm thankful. Oh, I'm grateful. And I trust in God. Oh, I trust in God. Oh, I trust in God. God.
Let's speak together our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now, in preparation for meditation, let's sing this beautiful chant written by Richard Burdick, May All Beings.
And I invite you just to close your eyes for a moment and just see our beautiful planet floating there in space. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. Please sing with me. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. No more.
And the Chambers family, and to those settling into stillness, into that place of inner peace. We breathe in and out. Focus on the textures of life. Notice physical sensations, letting them move through you completely. Every cell transforming by the presence of love. Taking in with the inhale, releasing with the exhale. Breathe in heat. Breathe out a cool, calming breath. Breathe breathing out acceptance. Breathing in fear and breathing out trust. Breathing in racism. Breathing out equality. Breathing in intolerance. Breathing out mercy. Breathing in violence. Breathing out peace, peace, peace. Breathing in restraint. Breathing out freedom. As we move into the silence and surrender into the discomfort of our evolution, breathe into the hope this change will bring and feel any negativity dissolving into beauty as we breathe. Together, connected in the heart of compassion, transforming our world through our breath, through our intentions, and our actions. We are called forth to be present during this time. And as we gently begin to return, we carry forward the breath of change, the voices of victory, singing in peace and equality, rising as one, hand in hand together, members of the same tribe. And so it is.
One by one, I wrote down the names of my friends in my life who belong to the same tribe. color or religion, but being united by a common decision and vibe. Deciding in our hearts to be voices for the victory of love, light, and harmony over darkness. We've already won in our minds. The trick is not to buy into the fear that binds our and teach our children to lean on Spirit and the truth and trust the dawn and sing. Knowing in our hearts we're free, voices of the victory of love, light, and harmony right now. Let's make that clear. The trick is not to validate the lies and fear. We're free. We're
Thank you, Ann, reminding us of those voices, victory voices. I was thinking about what to share today. You know, there's so much still going on in our world. But we remember that there is always an all-knowing, powerful presence that's singing those victory voices to us. Is always seeking to express itself through and as us. You know, sometimes circumstances come along to help us be the channels for the expression of those victory voices. You know, we're going through this COVID-19. There's still the remnants of the killings of George Floyd and the subsequent protests that took place. Yet all of these things are examples of promptings, or what I would call, how should I say, evolutionary triggers for all of us. Because we know that God cannot do anything for us. God can only do for us what we allow God to do through us, through our thought, through our words, and through our actions. And we recognize that the universe is calling for us to have those words, or have those victorious words, those victorious thoughts, those victorious actions at this inflection point in history. Sometimes we may feel invaded by this call from the universe. It feels like an invasion because when we say yes to it, when we affirm it in our life, we watch our little plans somehow fall apart. All the conveniences somehow are disrupted. Life gets a little, or sometimes a lot, uncomfortable for us. But this calling is upon us now so we can live our best lives. The death of George Floyd and the subsequent protests across the country and across the world, and that, for that matter, have been on my mind. And we experience these things that the universe is telling us to come up higher. You know, this past week I was in Washington, D.C. with my son. Jalen was there because he was in college, and in March they had the sudden move out of the dorm because COVID had hit. And so they gave us a very small window to go back and retrieve everything, so we decided to fly back and vacate the premises. And while we were there, we decided to go down to the White House, or go down to Lafayette Square, which is right in front of the White House. And of course, Lafayette Square is the center of demonstrations that have taken place throughout the years and had been sparked. The recent demonstration was sparked by the killing of George Floyd. Now, this park has a storied history as a soapbox, so to speak, for social oppression. And so that day was quite a contrast, of course, what had taken place, about a week or 10 days earlier. At that time, there were tens of thousands of people who were out there protesting. And today, when we went out there that day, there were maybe a couple hundred people were in the park. And the most prominent reminder of what had taken place just a few days earlier were signs that were on the building across the street from the White House. There was a small tent in front of the White House behind the fence that were plastered with slogans, including words from the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. And basically, it was relatively quiet. It was very serene that day. And as I was observing that particular scene, there was a question that I and even my son were having as we were pondering, were the protests that had taken place, were they just a moment in time? Or was it a start of a movement? A movement that was answering the call from the universe for every human being to be treated with respect, to be treated with dignity that they deserve. Of course, only time will tell. But the answer to the call, we must abandon doubt. We must abandon fear. We must abandon any beliefs that God is capricious or changes up on us. And we have to have absolute trust in this presence, in the qualities of God. We have to trust those things and allow those qualities to reign supreme in our life. So in addition to changing laws and implementing new policies, a critical change must take place in consciousness. It must take place in our awareness, in which we have absolute trust in some way, somehow, the inherent value of all people and the demonstration of the better our angels within us, within humanity, will come forth and will be the order of our day. So we do our part. We trust the universe to provide the increase along the way, to allow the conspiracy of things to come together to work on our behalf and be expressed through us to what we must do. Sometimes in these situations, stories give us hope. And I want to share a story about a man who answered this call from the universe, a little something different today. And in this story, something surprisingly happened, unexpected happened, that helped transform consciousness of another human being as he was answering his particular call. It's about a man by the name of Bryan Stevenson. Now, Bryan is the founder and executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative. It is a human rights organization in Montgomery, Alabama. And Bryan is an African-American who is a public interest lawyer, and he dedicated his life, his career, to helping the less fortunate, helping the incarcerated, helping the condemned. And Mr. Stevenson shares a story in an interview that he talks about his work. And the story is about the time he went to visit a new client who happened to be on death row, and he was in prison in Alabama. And parked outside the building was a pickup truck draped in a Confederate flag. And there was a bumper sticker that read, "If I had known it was going to be like this, I would have picked my own cotton." Well, that was a little distressing for him, and Bryan said he had never seen a bumper sticker like that before. And he walked into the building, and there was a white guard that met him at the door. And when Bryan Stevenson said that he was there for a legal visit to a new client, the guard said, "You're not a lawyer." And Bryan responded, "Well, yes, I am." And the guard said, "Well, where's your bar card? Where's your identification?" And he made Bryan go back to his car to get his card in order to prove that he was a lawyer, which is something that normally did not do. And although the demand that Bryan show his bar card was unheard of as a request to be made by someone who was doing his work, he complied. But to add insult to injury, the guard then told Bryan that before he could see his client, he had to undergo a strip search. And lawyers don't get strip searched when they go to the prison to visit their clients. But the guard told him that, well, he would not be permitted in any way to go see his client unless he agreed to the invasive procedure. And after enduring these searches, humiliation, the guard then told the attorney he had to sign a book, which is something that he normally did not do, but again, he complied. He did what he needed to do. Along the way, Bryan was infuriated by what he had to be required to do, but he knew he had to fulfill his responsibility to his client. And as they were walking toward the room to interview the client, the guard asked Bryan, "Did you see that truck outside?" And Bryan replied that he did, and the guard said, "That's my truck." Well, Bryan was beside himself with anger at this point, but he kept reminding himself why he was there, what had called him to do what he was doing. And interesting, when his client arrived at that moment, he asked Bryan Stevenson, "Did you bring me a chocolate milkshake?" And Bryan was taken aback by this question because he thought to himself that this already has been a very weird and strange day. And now this guy's asking me, did I bring him a milkshake? And he said, "No, I'm your lawyer. I'm here to represent you." And it was Attorney Stevens' first interview with the client, so he had a lot of questions he needed to ask him. And when he asked the questions of the client was barely paying attention because he was so preoccupied with this idea of a chocolate milkshake. And finally, Stevenson said to his client, "I'm sorry, I didn't know that you wanted to have a milkshake, but the very next time that I come, I'll bring you a milkshake." And the client was just overjoyed by this. He was just excited by the idea of a milkshake. But in the interview, Steven explained that his client had a horrific background. Foster homes, he had been in like 29 of them, and by the time he was 10 years old, he had severe mental challenges. He was schizophrenic. He was bipolar. He was addicted to drugs by the time he was 13 years old. He was homeless, and he had no medical care. And during a psychotic episode, he said the client had committed a brutal crime. And the previous attorney that represented did a terrible job representing him. And as a result, the client ended up on death row because he had been handed down the death penalty. And Stevenson went to court to defend the client, to save him. And each day that he went to court, he saw that guard that sent him through that humiliating procedure the very first day that he arrived. And the guard glared at him every day that he was in court. Every day there was a court session, he was there. But despite all that had taken place, Stevenson had several good days in court. He had some good days defending his client. And he saved his client from the death penalty. Fast forward about a month later, the attorney saw the guard. and something amazing happened. The guard uttered these words to Bryan. He said, "Hello, Mr. Stevenson. How are you?" And Stephen was stunned by what came out of the guard's mouth, and he replied, "Well, I'm fine." And as Stevenson started to head to the bathroom, expecting that he'd have to be strip searched again like he was all the previous times, the guard told him, "We're not going to do this today." And then Stevenson said he started to go over to sign the book. And the guard stopped Bryan and said, "You know, Mr. Stevenson, I saw you coming, so I signed you in." By this time, Stevenson was totally confused as to what was happening. And then the guard had turned around 180 degrees in his whole attitude toward him. And he was attempting to unlock the door to let him through. But he was having a difficult time because his hand was shaking. But finally, he got the key in the lock and opened up the door. And he turned to Attorney Stevenson and he said, "Mr. Stevenson, I have something to tell you. I was in the courtroom and listening to you. And I want you to know that you are doing a good thing. And I hope you keep fighting for justice." Stephen never predicted anything like this would come out of that guard's mouth. And then Stephen said that, the guard put out his hand to shake his hand. And he told him, "I also came out of the foster system. And I thought no one had it as bad as me. But your client had it worse. Can I please shake your hand? And I hope you keep fighting for the people like your client." But here's the kicker. Before Stevenson left, the guard wanted him to know one more thing. And he told Bryan Stevenson he did something on the way back to the courthouse as he was transporting his client to prison. He said he decided to take an exit, and he went to a Wendy's, and he brought his client a chocolate milkshake. To the extent there is a moral of the story or a message, it's that anyone can be transformed. Any situation can be changed for the better. We just need to know each other and listen to one another's stories. And we will find that we have more in common than we have differences. Perhaps that's what the George Floyd experience is calling us to do and to be. We're at this point in history that it doesn't have to be a mere moment that passes us by. It can be the movement of something new. A movement in our awareness in which we realize that we live as one human family, that recognizes that we have more in common than we do have any kind of differences. Bryan Stevenson answered this call. We have to answer our call, our victorious call that is there for us. And to find out if we're answering that call, we simply have to ask ourselves, everywhere I go, do I make my environment better? Is it better because I am there? Does it have more love? Does it have more beauty? Does it have more joy? Does it have more forgiveness and generosity? All of the sacred qualities of God seem to show up when I walk in the room. Does that happen? Am I contributing and making all the environment that I live in, when I walk in there, does it become better? If in truth you discover everywhere that you go, the environment becomes better, then to some degree you're answering that call of the Spirit to be more of your new self, your real self, to be that sacred self of the image and likeness of God. And that consciousness will spread like wildfire. Understand that God comes to this planet by means of us, by means of our hands, by means of our smile, by means of our prayer, by means of our walk. That's how God shows up in our life. So we let go of the notion that God is going to come and do something to save us. God saves us by our own awareness and ability to live by the good that we already know that is within our soul. We already have so much information out there. We already know about the universal spirituality, spiritual laws, spiritual principles, these things that govern the entire universe and govern our life. It's hidden in every major religion. And if we begin to act by the good that we know, God does not suffer a stillbirth. The quality of God begin to show up. That's trying to express itself through us. It can birth itself through our thought, through our awareness, through our activity, and God's word becomes flesh as our life today. So we're asking ourselves, are we answering that call? Are we responding to the prompting of this universe? I can say that many of this community and others are answering the call, whether it's participating in peace marches, learning more about the history that led up to the protests that have taken place after the killing of George. Many are answering the call by asking, what is mine to do in this important inflection point? And I'm here to say it's really just started. It's the beginning. But the moment is now. This is our moment for our movement in consciousness and transformation, and the reason that we have taken this incarnation. This is why we are here. We've come here to be the answer. We've come here to be the vehicle, the very vibration of the Spirit, walking the prayer, being the energetic, being the midwife to the world that is seeking to birth something new, a new way of being. A new way is seeking to emerge on the very planet in which we live. But it can only be born through our consciousness, individually and collectively. When we're not laden with fear, doubt, and worry, or fragmentation, or separation, or projecting our shadow side out into the world, or some enemy outside of us. Indeed, the time is now. The moment is now for us to midwife and rise up. And so the universe is bringing and saying to us, is banging and knocking and calling our name, and we've got to answer. We've got to answer. And then we will be able to turn this moment into a movement of transformation to the very planet in which we live and anchor heaven on earth. And we shall see the possibilities of the human spirit all over the planet. Peace and blessings to you. Peace and blessings. The next Sunday, we will be live streaming once again here at the Spiritual Life Center Sanctuary at our 9 a.m. service. And I will be talking about the new definition of success. And LaJean Walker and Ann Roach will be here along with the AC band. And with that, I just invite you to join in and say our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Happened, love has taken hold and it won't let go of us now. Yeah.
Something here is calling us forward, upward motion. We're trapped in one ocean. Roll on.
Will you rise up with me today? Lift up your voice and boldly say, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Live your dream of your highest calling. Be the hope of a new day dawning. We're the ones who can make a difference. Let's stand together. Share your gift with the world that's waiting for a change that we're all creating.
It's a moment for our greatness. Let's stand together now.
Oh, stand together now. Every day's a chance you can do something amazing. I feel your passion blazing and shine. Yeah, yeah.
Paint with every vision and dance in new directions. Explode in new heights in your mind.
I will rise up with you today.
Lift up my voice.
Lift up my voice and boldly say, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Live your dream of the highest calling. Be the hope of a new day dawning. We're the ones who can make a difference. Let's stand together. Share your gift with a world that's waiting for a change that we're all creating. It's a moment for our greatness. Let's stand together now. Stand together now.
One dream, one voice, one heart, one world. One dream,
One dream,
one voice,
one voice,
one heart,
one heart.
one world. Stand together, one dream, one voice, one heart, one world.
Stand together
With the dream of the highest calling, be the hope of a new day dawning. We're the ones who can make a difference. Let's stand together. Share your gifts with a world that's waiting for a change that we're all creating.
It's a moment for our greatness. Let's stand together.
With the dream of the highest
Live
calling,
your
hope of a
dream.
new day dawning.
We're the ones who can make a difference. Let's stand together. Share your gift with a world that's waiting for a change that we're all creating. It's a moment for our greatness. Let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together. Let's stand together.
Everybody, let's stand together.
Everybody,
Everybody, let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together.
Everybody, let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together. Let's stand together. Everybody, let's stand together.
Let's stand together. Thank you so much. One heart, one voice. What was the rest of the words? One world, one dream. That's the truth. Well, with that, we take in those words, knowing that as we listen, we will hear the call of the universe so we can find what it is for us to do to transform the very planet in which we live. And with that, we leave now with these words, knowing that they're the truth and will be with us always. Our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. And with that, our peace song. Let there be peace
On earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family
one heart,
one
one mind,
mind, one soul.